Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to create some labels in Access. I'm doing June 08 question paper 2 and I'm on question 43. First thing you need to consider when you're creating labels is reading all of the bullet points to ensure that you know whether your labels are based on a query or not. So I know that just by looking down my bullet points. If you look at the third one here, it says shows only the records where special is yes and the notes field is not blank. That there tells me that my labels are based on a query. So I'm going to go ahead and create the query first here. So again, I go into create, query design, double click to add my table and close this window, and then double click here to select all the fields and just drag them down. Okay. Now, if I look at the criteria, it says special should be yes, and the notes field should not be blank. So, special, yes, notes field, okay, so to write not blank, you basically write not, as I'm sure you know. To write blank, you put in double quotes. So you type one and then you type the other one, like that. So it should be, that basically means the two double quote marks together means blank. So it should not be blank. So if I run this now, I've only got those records that actually have something in the notes field. If I open the table, as you can see, there are many records that don't have anything in the notes field. So it's asking me not to have those in my query, to have only the records where there's something in the notes field. So it's not empty. And special is yes, as you know. Okay. Right, if I go back to my questions, I'm ready now to create my report, but before I do, just to save a bit of time, I'm going to only select these fields that need to be visible in the report, so code, product, price and notes. And I can do that in the query as well, just to save a bit of time. So I'm just going to go in and scroll back to the beginning. So I don't need category. So anything I don't need to show up in my report, I can untick from my query. So I don't need category. I don't need country. I need code, product. I don't need stock or reorder. I need price. I don't need special, but I need notes. Now, even if you've put criteria on a field and you untick it, that criteria will still be there. It just means that that field won't show up in my results. If I run this now, it's still got the same 6 records. It's not changed that. It's just removed any fields that we're not going to need in our report. So it saves you a bit of time when you are creating the report. So I'm just going to save this as labels, just so I know exactly what query I'm basing my labels on. So I can close this now. In fact, before I do this, I'm going to do the sorting as well in the query. So it says sort into ascending order of product. So I'll just go back into design view and on product, I'll just click in this row here. It says sort and go to ascending. That will now sort them in ascending order of product, as you can see. So again, saves me a bit more time when I go to create the labels. Save, and I will now close that wizard. And now I can start to create my labels. So it says that they should fit 2 side by side on a page. So I need to select the labels query and then go to create labels. Now here you need to look at the dimensions of your labels, the width first by the height, the height by the width. That will determine how much space you have to fit your data on. This particular question, that's quite important because you've got notes field, which is a lot of data. And you need to make sure the width of each label is long enough to fit the notes field in properly. You also need to look at the numbers across. It said it should fit 2 side by side on a page. So you need to select 2 from the wizard. So any of these dimensions that are 2. I would normally use this one, C2244. Because that's quite a nice big set of dimensions, and it's still 2 across, but I'm going to click on English here, and I'm going to use 2241, just because the dimension of the width is a lot longer than the height, and that's what we actually need in this particular question. Then I'll press next. I don't need to format it at this stage. I'll press next again. Now here, I need to now put in all the information I need to go in my labels. So it says that the heading should be at the top of each label. So that's the first thing I need to add in this part of the wizard. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that at the top here. And then I'm just going to press enter to go down to the next line. It then says only these fields, code, product, price and note, should be each on a separate line. So I've done the heading as well. I need to center align it, but I'll do that later. This particular question doesn't require the field names to be visible, just the actual fields. Okay, so some labels require the field names as well as the data itself. So if I go in, so say I had to put the field name in, so the first one's code, so I'd type the name and then I'd add my field from here. So I'd have code is my label and then in curly brackets is the data itself. This question doesn't require it, so what I'm going to do is just go ahead and add each field on a separate line like this, press enter and then click on the arrow to add each field one underneath each other. The last item on my label, if you look carefully at your bullets, it says it should have your details, your name, centre number, candidate number on the left at the bottom of each label. So you need to go ahead and put that here in the wizard. So I'm just going to type candidate details. Obviously you'd write your actual details there. That's it. So I'm ready to press next. I don't need to sort it because I've done that already. So I press next and I will finish. So this is my labels at the moment. I need to do a little bit of formatting to this and I just want to adjust the margins a little bit just to give each label a bit of space. If you're concerned, because on this question it says it's basically indicating there should be 8 labels, which is not always the case. This is just a standard picture to show you how your labels may look. This particular set of labels is based on a query that only has 6 records in it. So you're only going to have 6 labels. So if you're not sure, just check your query just to make sure you've done it correctly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to adjust my margins by going to margins here. Sorry, not margins. I'm going to go to page setup and then margins. And as you can see, the left margin is quite big. I don't need such a large margin. I'm just going to change them both to 6, the left and right. So then that's now adjusted that. But now what I want to do is adjust the margin on this side. But I'm just going to close the print preview and just have a look at how my labels are set up in here. So in design view. So what I'm going to do is just adjust the width a little bit. And to select all of the fields so you can adjust them at once, you just hold down Control A on your keyboard and then you can adjust them together. So I'm just giving them all a little bit of room, especially thinking about the notes field. The other thing I need to do is add your details in the page header or footer of the label. It's on each label, but it's not going to be big enough, and the examination board say that it should be fully visible. So I'm going to try and make sure I've done that as well. I'm still not happy with these labels, so I'm going to go into columns and I'm going to change the spacing of my columns. I'm just going to increase it to 1 centimeter. Hasn't made much of a difference, but I do, even though they're 2 side by side, this one's obviously got a bit more room than this one. This is kind of cut off. So I'm just going to go into my design view and just reduce these a little bit. Go back into print preview. And so you can see it has a little bit more room, but you're basically going to have to make adjustments as necessary for each and keep checking basically to see if you're happy with the way your labels look. So I'm just going to increase the space, decrease the spacing actually is what I want to do. So I'm going to go into print preview and I'm going to go to columns and I'm just going to column spacing 0.5 and just see if I'm happy with that. To be honest, it will be okay like that, but I'm just going to go ahead and adjust it a bit more till I'm happy with it. Most importantly is adding your details in the header or the footer. So they're closed at the moment. I'm just going to open the footer and I'm going to get a label and I'm going to put in candidate details, and then you can, oops, not spelled details right, and then you can then adjust the size of that. So if I just make that a bit bigger, and yeah, that's fine. You can make it as big as you like, and then in print preview you'll see that that will be nice and big at the bottom of the page. So that printout, and the examiner can't say that your details weren't fully visible. It's really, really important that you do that. We also need to change the heading format so that it's center aligned. So we just select it and then center aligned. The details here are left aligned, so that's fine. Again, I'm just going to print preview that. And so that's how my final labels should look.